Right, so before we begin, as we agreed on yesterday, we're going to decrease the time from 10 minutes to 7 minutes, right? So at the 6 minutes, I would like to jump directly in the screen to remind everyone that you only have 1 minute left so that you can wrap up. Right. Thank you.
Okay.
So as in our slot, there is Marianne and me speaking. So that means that it's only 3 minutes for each of us.
Yeah, according to the rundown, it's total 7 minutes in total for both speakers, for Amel and Marianne.
Okay, so I have to hurry up.
Oh my God! I'll be quick, Amel. Don't worry.
maybe I can give 1 minute extra. It's okay.
Yeah, 4 minutes for each.
You gave up too early, 3.
It's negotiation, you know.
Oh iya dah. Oke, aku mulai ya. Videonya belum. Okay, we are still preparing the video. Hold on. Okay. Okay, we will start. 3, 2, 1. Good luck, everybody.
Perjuangan untuk kesetaraan dan penghapusan kekerasan berbasis gender adalah masalah dunia dan juga merupakan prioritas bersama bagi Prancis dan Indonesia. Kekerasan terhadap wanita dan perempuan dapat ditemukan di semua negara dan di masyarakat. Hal ini dapat terjadi di rumah, sekolah, di jalan, tempat kerja, di internet, dan juga di tempat lainnya. Menurut hasil studi WHO, 1 dari 3 perempuan adalah korban kekerasan setidaknya sekali seumur hidupnya. Dimanapun di dunia, kekerasan berbasis gender seperti kekerasan fisik, kekerasan psikologis, juga perlakuan tidak adil terlalu sering diabaikan dan dibiarkan begitu saja. Karena hak-hak perempuan dan anak perempuan merupakan hak asasi manusia, inilah waktunya untuk kedua negara dan seluruh dunia turut mempromosikan kesetaraan dan martabat semua perempuan, laki-laki, dan anak-anak. Kementerian Eropa dan Luar Negeri Republik Prancis membuka jalan untuk perjuangan ini melalui kebijakan feminis luar negerinya. Prancis menyuarakan kesetaraan gender di forum internasional dan berharap agar tujuan ini dipertimbangkan dalam semua masalah, mulai dari pengurangan ketidaksetaraan hingga pembangunan berkelanjutan, perdamaian dan keamanan, pertahanan dan promosi hak-hak fundamental, serta masalah iklim dan ekonomi. Di Indonesia, sejak tahun 2016, Kedutaan Besar Prancis atau Institut Français de Indonésie ikut serta dalam kampanye tahunan PBB yang bertemakan 16 Hari Aktivisme Melawan Kekerasan Berbasis Gender atau Orange Day, yang memilih warna oranye sebagai warna dari masa depan yang lebih baik. Hari Internasional Penghapusan Kekerasan Terhadap Perempuan dimulai pada tanggal 25 November dan diakhiri pada tanggal 10 Desember, Hari Hak Asasi Manusia. Selama 16 hari, Kedutaan Besar Prancis bekerja sama dengan UN Women Indonesia dan mitra Indonesia lainnya berkomitmen dalam memperjuangkan kesetaraan dengan mengadakan lokakarya, debat publik, dan kampanye kesadaran melalui media sosial. Pada tahun 2021, Prancis bersama dengan Meksiko akan menjadi tuan rumah Forum Kesetaraan Generasi yang diselenggarakan oleh UN Women. Forum ini akan menjadi diskusi global di mana semua pemangku kepentingan akan mengambil bagian, termasuk masyarakat sipil, otoritas publik, pemerintah lokal, sektor swasta, dan media. Semua peserta dalam koalisi negara bagian masyarakat sipil dan sektor swasta akan diundang untuk mendorong serta memajukan hak-hak perempuan dan untuk mencapai kemajuan segera dan yang tidak dapat diubah menuju kesetaraan gender. Program tindakan nyata untuk mendorong tanggung jawab kesetaraan gender pada tahun 2030 juga akan disusun dalam kampanye bertemakan kesetaraan generasi, mewujudkan hak-hak perempuan untuk masa depan yang setara. Prancis dan Indonesia bekerja bahu-membahu dalam upaya bersama untuk memastikan kesetaraan dan martabat bebas dari bahaya bagi semua wanita dimanapun di dunia. untuk membangun masa depan yang lebih baik dan lebih cerah bagi generasi berikutnya.
All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today and welcome to this webinar event conducted by Institut Français Indonesia. So my name is Triinda Octavianti. I'm a journalist currently working for the Jakarta Post, and I will be the host and the moderator for today's webinar. So we will be discussing women in tech, shaping the future of Indonesia, a very important topic we rarely talk about. The technology sector is a dynamic environment brimming with opportunity. It shapes communities, breaks down barriers, and helps us realize goals we never thought possible. At least, statistically speaking, that is, if you are a man. Women have proved that they are just as capable in heading up and managing the complexities of the technology industry as they do in other industries. But the 2020 study by the Boston Consulting Group showed that Indonesia has a very low share of women at technology companies, that is only at 22%. Meanwhile, women representation in the overall workforce is only at 32%. So today's webinar should be started with questions like, why is it necessary to integrate women in the rapid growth of the digital sectors? And then how will the participation of women in technology improve the company's financial performance, shape a better economy for the country, and bring more gender equality in society? So to answer this question, joining us right now are 9 speakers who will each deliver a 7-minute presentation related to their respective fields. The webinar itself will last for about 2 hours, so please make yourself comfortable. So we'll commence the webinar session with 5-minute opening remarks from Counselor for Cooperation of the French Embassy, Mr. Stéphane Defert. And we will have Pak Sony Sudariana, the Head of ICT Empowerment of the Communication and Information Ministry, as the first speaker, followed by Ms. Leonika Sari Nyoto Budi Utomo as the CEO of Redblood, and then Ms. Francisca Putri Wina Hadiwiana as the co-founder and CTO of Womenworks. We also have Ms. Marianne Pinet as the French Tech representative of ASEAN, and Ms. Amel Rignon as the head of Women in Tech, Group of French Tech Singapore. Joining us today as well, Mr. David Sokasing, Managing Director of Angel Investor Network Indonesia, or ANGIN. And then we have Ms. Lia as the co-managing director Girls in Tech Indonesia, as well as Ms. Larasati Nugroho as Girls in Tech Scholarship recipient. Last but not least, we also have Ms. Irsalina Suprapto as the senior QA engineer of paper.id. We will also have a 30 minutes question and answer session after all speakers deliver their presentations. So to all participants, please mute your microphone throughout the event, but feel free to ask any questions you may have throughout the webinar by using the chat box. All right, so without further ado, I will welcome Bapak Stéphane Defert to state your opening remark. The platform is yours, Pak.
Thanks a lot for this introduction, reminding us the tremendous challenges we have still to face. Dear friends, members of the Generation Equality Movement, dear friends who are dreaming of a better world. A quick reminder first. The Generation Equality Forum is convened by UN Women and co-chaired by France and Mexico. Next round will take place in Paris from June 30 to July 2nd. The Generation Equality Forum takes place a quarter of a century after the 4th UN World Conference on Women and adoption of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. This very crucial forum, the one to come, will take stock of the progress made. Gender inequality is and will remain a challenge. Reasons to complain are numerous, and the moderators have reminded us a couple of challenges that we still have to face, the number of hurdles we have to pass. But digital divide is surely one of them. But our willingness to see women as frontliners in digital economy is not only a goal to achieve, even if it's a real goal to achieve, it's also a reality. Frontliner in digital economy is really are there. There are women for a lot of them. And their example was following. The list of our today contributors proved it. Leonica, Francisca, Leah, Larasati, we have plenty of role models, and I hope that the audience will enjoy to listen and will take inspiration from them. We are honored to welcome representatives from the Indonesian tech sectors, CEOs of startups, representatives from large companies of the digital sectors, female entrepreneurs, NGOs, activists, representatives from relevant Indonesian ministries. They are role models, one more time. They will share their fascinating experience with us. Despite the difference in their various background, they are all share a kind of common values and vision. And let me enter a little bit into details because I have used a bit of trick. It's a use of keywords. You know, in digital economy, keywords are pretty crucial. And I have tried by scrutinizing the profile of the various speakers to take out from their profile a couple of keywords. And the ones I have chosen are willingness, because of their willingness to achieve. Opportunities, because in the digital economy, you have to size the opportunities, you have to enter in it, you have to take the challenge. Movement, because you don't do anything when you are staying what you are. You have to get out of your comfort zone, trying to find out, to move, to go ahead, because new technologies are, of course, a challenge to come. Energy, because they are all, and they prove it every day, they are all full of energy. And by being full of energy, they are leading the groups of other ladies and men who are following them because of their energy, generating a common energy that is even larger than energy of each and every member of the group. And at last, no fear, because you need no fear to achieve. You need to be self-confident in what you can do and you can achieve. These 5 words are willingness, opportunities, movement, energy, and no fears, are also matching with the definition of technology and innovation. And I think that willingness is a willingness to innovate. You can't innovate if you don't want to do so. Willingness is a matter of opportunities to size, because you are not alone in this world, you are in competition, and competition leads to opportunity as well. You don't have to be afraid by the burden of the number of initiatives. You have to take your place and to size the opportunity. Movement, because in new technology, you have to instigate a movement. Energy, because you have to mobilize your teams and partners to get to enter into new technology. And no fear, of course, because you need no fear to achieve, you need no fear to invest, you need no fear to expose yourself. So just try to remember what technology and innovation should mean. Willingness, opportunities, movement, energy, and no fear. It's a bit difficult to remember. I myself experienced a lot of difficulties in memory. I'm trying to convince myself that it's not because of my age, but because of the lack of ability since my early age, and I can prove it. But I have learned from my teachers since an early age that mnemonics are important. Using the first letter of each word helps you to remember the words. W for willingness, O for opportunities, M for movement, E for energy, N for no fear. W-O-M-E-N, woman. I thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a very insightful opening remark you had there, Bapak Dover. Oh, I was like, so I was so in awe because of women itself is basically willingness, opportunities, movements, energy, and no fear. So remember to all the women out there, don't be scared, don't be afraid. Remember what Pak Dover already told you about those 5 important keywords. Just like Pak Dover also highlighted, willingness to see women in frontliners, especially in digital work, is not just a goal anymore. It should be a reality. So we're going to discuss more how to make women in digital work will become reality, that it would not become no longer a dream anymore. So now I will turn to Pak Sony Sudaryana from the Communication and Information Ministry. As the representative of the government in this webinar, Pak Sony will speak about the efforts and maybe some policies that have been made by lawmakers in order to support women involvement and empowerment in the tech industry, so that seeing women in frontliners will no longer become a dream and a goal, just like what Pak Dover said earlier. All right, so Pak Sony, the time is yours.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. Is it everyone can see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you Pak Dover, Bu Pelopin dan teman-teman sekalian. Let me start my presentation. This is I want to share about how the Indonesia Digital Transformation and how Kominfo, my ministry, empower the innovators. We know that Indonesia in numbers, we have more people using mobile subscription. Our population is to 260 million, but we have 355 mobile subscription. And then probably in Indonesia is usually when one person having 2 or 3 phone numbers, and then we have 171 internet users, and then active social media. This is a number in Indonesia. That this is potential for not only as market, but as the engine in digital economy. Now, in global tech, we know that in like Google, the diversity is designed. So Google attract talent from other countries because the engine of innovation is diversity. But Indonesia, the numbers in Indonesia is very diverse. We have 17,000 islands. We have 1,128 ethnic groups, and we have 746 languages. This is the engine for innovation. The diversity is already here in Indonesia. This is the potential that we have to unleash. To unleash this potential, we can do it with boost the infrastructure. And then our president, Pak Jokowi, is we are focus on building the right infrastructure and digital ecosystem to support the nation young generation in order to achieve recognition in the global digital economy. Indonesia probably is left behind in the whole economy. We have resources, natural resources, but we are not doing the tech benefit. Or probably perusahaan asing yang mengelola. But in digital economy, we are starting the same like any country. So we have potential in digital economy. So, and then what we are doing in the Indonesia government, we are focusing on 4 parts. The first is digital infrastructure, and then we are focused on digital government, digital society, and then the digital economy. For the digital infrastructure, we are building end-to-end for the broadband infrastructure. The national core is we call Palaparing. It's connected 514 cities and kabupaten in municipal in Indonesia. And then we have a middle mile network. We have satellite, which is Satria, and then we will have 2 other satellites. This is satellite is connecting with high-speed internet, not regular telecommunication satellite, but a broadband satellite. And then last mile network, such as base transceiver station for 4G LTE, because we know that when the 4G is launched, there are many innovation and many apps that came up in the digital economy, such as probably in 10 years ago, the Netflix will not seem smooth when we're watching if the internet is 3G, but when we move to 4G, the internet connection is good enough, and then the business model such as Spotify, Netflix can work, and then such as Gojek, and then other apps can deploy and run smoothly in the broadband network. This is the end-to-end that we are government doing. This is not only in Jakarta and Java, but from Sabang to Merauke. And then after the infrastructure, we are focusing on how to use the infrastructure that we build. We know that when we build the infrastructure, everyone will connect to the whole world, to the global. And we are, Indonesia probably will be target market. But how we use this opportunity to develop our digital talent. This is the framework that we developed. This is the first is basic digital skill, digital literacy, how to use your phone, how to use productivity apps, how to, such as selling in UMKM, selling in the e-commerce, onboarding, and then the higher level is intermediate digital skill, such as technical level worker. We have digital talent scholarship. This year we have scholarship for 100,000 talent or person in many expertise such as IoT, data science, and then AI. We are working with 90 plus universities in around Indonesia.
And then you have 1 minute left.
Okay, and then we have another advanced digital skill. This is also digital leadership academy, and then the program for startup is startup 1000 startup movement, and then the upper one is startup studio. And then this is the journey. Probably I will discuss in the question and answer. This is the startup program in Indonesia. We are running in 20 cities. For the closing remarks, probably this is my the internet will connect Indonesia with the whole world. From this opportunity will be open. Are we ready to deal with it? Are we ready to embrace this opportunity? Because we are connected to the whole world. And then we are making that diversity, how to make this diversity in Indonesia become a power to be digital nation through technology. Mungkin probably this is from me 7 minutes, and then we can continue with question and discussion. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Pak Sony. That's very interesting point you mentioned there, that Indonesia has worked on digital infrastructure and digital talent development, and including with the digital talent scholarship you mentioned there. But the question is, are those policies that have been shaped by the government in the digital world has been very inclusive for women? Do you think it is already inclusive for women, Pak?
Oh, yes, the opportunity is the same in Indonesia, because we have the policy, which probably you all know, the law of ITE, you know, law number, I forgot the number, Undang-Undang ITE. It's the objective is to boost innovation. The telecommunication law is based on permit. You cannot go making a telecommunication company without Kominfo or government permit. But in internet law, you can do anything. You can do anything, innovation, everything, except you cannot do that forbid. The forbid is like hacking, hoax, and then pencemaran nama baik yang selama ini jadi masalah di Indonesia kan, yang dijadikan kadang orang masuk penjara karena undang-undang ITE. Sebenarnya semangatnya adalah mendorong inovasi karena ini lu mau ngapain aja bebas asal jangan ngelakuin yang dilarang. Nah itu enggak that's not only for man or woman but is equal treatment.
Okay, all right, fine. One more question. You mentioned earlier about the national movement of 1,000 digital startups, right? Gerakan Nasional 1000 Startups. The program was launched in 2016, and so as it targets young people, was there any affirmative action regarding to women-led startups?
Ya, probably saya bahasanya campur ya. Nanti yang menarik bagi saya, women and men is different. Kalau laki-laki lebih nekat, yang saya alami di startup, dia nggak ngerti atau dia cuman comply dengan persyaratan itu mungkin cuma berapa persen, tapi dia berani ikutan. Tapi kalau cewek lebih nunggu sampai dia sempurna baru dia ikut. Dia nggak mau kelihatan malu atau salah bikin tim atau bikin produk on her startup. Rata-rata cewek itu pengen sempurna, akhirnya dia nggak ikut. Makanya banyak yang lebih didominasi cowok yang lebih nekat, lebih berani. I think mungkin kita harus lebih mendorong bukan mengajarkan kesempurnaan, tapi mendorong untuk lebih berani tampil, berani ini. Ini yang saya alami di my journey in running this program in 20 cities. Because in Indonesia, the girls is usually shy, and then when presentation or presentasi ide atau segala macam, dia maunya sempurna, karena pengen sempurna, akhirnya waktunya kelewat, dia nggak bisa presentasi. Lebih ke situ.
Okay. All right, Pak Sony, we will continue this on a Q&A session later on, okay? So,
okay.
Pak Sony, as the representative of government, admitted that there is some kind of gender disparity for women to go into the startup and technology industry. So, we will go to the next speaker as one of the female player in the tech industry, Miss Leonika, who initiated Redblood, an inspiring program to encourage blood donation in Indonesia, where hospitals are often undersupplied with blood. So it was recognized last year as one of the best early stage startups by Accelerator Digitaraya in partnership with Google Developers Launchpad. So Ms. Leonika will share her experience and testimonies. Ms. Leonika, time is yours.
All right, thank you, Bainda, for the opportunity, and thank you for Institute Français, and thank you, Pak Dovert, for the opportunity to share my experience. And I hope that it can share insightful experience also for the audience. Let me try to share my screen. I have some pointers in what I will share. So basically, it is about the journey that I've been through for the past 6 years, building my own startup. And as mentioned before, it's true that we are building our own startup, solving the blood donation shortage in Indonesia. And as we know that every year we have millions of blood donation shortage, that's why we want to help it by building a platform for the blood donors and We now have more than 50,000 users, empowering thousands of blood drives events. And we now have offices in Surabaya and Jakarta. And our team, like around 10 people now. And we also got a nomination in the Google Play Award 2019 for the Best Social Impact category. Yeah, it was a quite good achievement for now, until now, but not many people know what's the journey's been like before the 2018, before we established our company. And back then we started by joining a startup bootcamp at MIT, and then a city-based incubation of startup initiated by the government of Surabaya, named Start Surabaya, and then we've been listed on the Forbes Under 30 Asia 2016, and also an award by the Tempo Media on 2017. It seems glowing, it seems sparkling, it seems good. But actually behind the scene, it's actually a lot of challenges. Back then, 2014, not many people know the term of startup. Many people think that everyone who builds website is actually building a startup. Well, that's actually not really accurate. And back then, when I was like, after I went back from MIT, the bootcamp, so yeah, no, not many people understand startups, and it's really confusing on how to start the idea that I have, especially the idea of Redblood is heavily on social. That's why we're building a social entrepreneurship. But when we started the idea by joining an incubator back then, 2015, we were 6 people and 5 people left. So we have a major team breakup back then. So only one person left to continue the idea. And then 2016 happens when we got the into the list of the Forbes Under 30. People say it's a good thing, but it's actually a very bad thing. We are under 30, but under pressure a lot. And because there's a lot of media attention and a lot of media interview back then, but our products is really, really bad at that time. Because when I started the startup, I just graduated from my university. I took information systems major. Yes, I can code, I can do programming, but not that good because I just graduated. I'm just a fresh graduate. That's why even from the product development, it's not really good. And that's why we got a lot of complaint. Even we got a lot of 1 stars on the Google Play. Our average rating down to 2 points-ish something. And it's really, really stressful at the time. Yeah. Even until 2017, we haven't found the right business model. So that's really, really a huge problem for us, right? That's what happened behind the scenes. But fortunately for us, we got a lot of support. Right from the moment we joined Start Surabaya, the incubation program, we built the startup from scratch, literally from idea. We even haven't developed the brand. We didn't get the name of Redblood until we launched the website actually. And we are very fortunate we meet with the very experienced and very amazing mentors, like the Madam Mayor of Surabaya at the time, Bu Risma, which is the current Minister of Social. She really, really is a very good mentor and has been supporting us since the beginning. And then we joined the accelerator, Digital Raya, like mentioned before. And we also got the opportunity from Google for Startups to join a 2 weeks immersive program in Silicon Valley. And we learned a lot. And we are not only learning a lot from the mentors, but also from other startup founders in our communities. So that's why communities is very important. We need to surround ourselves with the right people that can actually not only giving us support, but can challenge us also to aim higher. And at my position and my experience, it's really, really hard. I mean, like a lot of people doubt us since the beginning, even until now. Because like back then, I was still a student when starting Redblood, and then I'm a woman. I don't have any experience, work experience. So basically, we don't have a chance to build a startup. That's it. But fortunately for us, we find the right people. And as I learned, if we want to build a successful startup, we need to start from the people, and then the product and the profit, not the otherwise around. And that's why people is very, very important since the beginning. And this is about startups. Like a lot of people. All right, cool, thanks. Yeah, so this is like people already are always focusing on launching, but actually as we launch a startups, we need to remember why we built the startup, what problem we want to solve, what the target, not only launch the website and that's it, or launch the app. So that's why this is what I always learn even until now. That's the true success comes when we land our startups. So that's it for me. I welcome any questions after this or on the session. Thank you very much. I hope this will be very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mbak Leonika. That's definitely wonderful and very insightful. For me personally, I learned a lot, and I was moved by your story, especially when you were in MIT and everyone think your idea was crazy enough. So do you think your gender as a woman has affected the way people treated you or perceived you, you know, in the digital or in the tech industry?
Well, I think probably it is, because I still remember when I participated in the MIT program, like there were 50 people, and I think it's only 10 people are women. So less than majority. And that's why it's really, really hard. I mean, it's really challenging. It's really challenging. But back again, like everyone got the stigma. I mean, not only women, but men also. That's why we need to work harder to prove that we can be successful.
Okay, one more question, Mbak. As you know, you mentioned that it will be very easier if you find the right people who support you. But as someone who used to live in Surabaya, do you think that if you don't have such a tech-savvy environment or support system around you, do you think such access to mentors or help from other startups will also be available, especially for girls living in rural areas, for example, or girls living in a very low economic strata, for example? Yeah, Mbak.
Yeah. I mean, like, if we can be surrounded with the tech-savvy mentors and stuff, and if I need to compare with what happened like 6 years ago, it's really hard to find the mentors in Surabaya. But now, as Pak Sony presented before, with the 1,000 startups program that happenings in more than 10 cities, and will add more cities as they reach out, I think it will be easier to find the right mentors. And I know because I've been mentors in the program previously, and it's really wonderful that we can have the mentors come to the cities and to talk with them, get their insights, even get access of partnerships from the government. So it's really amazing. I believe the chance is higher now.
Okay, that's such a good news. So it means that more girls in Indonesia are now having higher hopes, right? Thank you very much, Mbak Leonika. Yes. So
my pleasure.
The next wonderful woman is Francisca, who has a very strong IT background. She graduated with honors from the Institute of Technology Bandung, and she won several coding competitions. Francisca was also one of the inspirational women provided by UNESCO International Symposium and Policy Forum titled Cracking the Code, Girls' Education in STEM in 2017. So Ms. Francisca, the platform to share your experience is yours now.
Thank you, Maida, for the kind introduction. Thank you for Institute Friendship for the opportunity to share. I would like to follow Leonika, path by sharing my journey. So wait a minute, I will share my screen. Okay. Yeah. So hello everyone. I would like to share about Womenworks today. So this is the initiative that we start. It's pretty early. We started around like a year ago, less than a year actually. But again, like I want to share about the journey, about how we started and why we think it's important to start the initiative. So first, I'm going to give a bit of my background. So just like what Indah said, my background is engineering. So I've been an engineer. I went to ITB for computer science or informatics engineering. I started several startups before, both in US and Indonesia. And I also had some professional working experience in tech leadership in tech companies. So, going through my 9 years of experience, I never have a female mentor, or even so, I never have a female role model that really, kind of like close to my position. So, it has been quite a, lonely journey in a way that I have to figure out a lot of things by myself, by just exploring, right, by myself. That's why when my co-founder actually approached me and then discussed about the idea about Womenworks, which is practically a woman empowerment platform through mentorship and creating meaningful connection, I joined right away, right? I really understand, the mission really resonates with me. And that's why, I really think a woman in Indonesia needs more role model, right? So they know that they belong where they're working, so they know they can also be leaders, from years to come. And also they know they will get support May last year. And actually, if we're looking at the data, it's also support our hypothesis. It's also support the issue that we personally feel. So if we see at the education, actually there's slightly more women actually have 4 years college diploma for age 15 years and above compared to men. Both around 8-something percent, but actually women is a bit higher. And even if you see at the marriage, right? Well, there's an equal number of women, percentage of women and percentage of men who's married. But if we see at the workforce, there's actually a significant decrease, right? There's 83% men who actually actively working, while there's only 55% women. So that's practically, it's a great waste of the potential for women contributing. So in Womenworks, we try to kind of help women to actually stay productive, whether they want to do a still full-time job or even a part-time job, by mentoring other women. And if you see right here, right, companies actually, they're missing a lot by not cultivating their women employees. And you can see that there will be an increase in market value significantly if actually there's more female key manager actually present. But at the moment, that's actually the level where women is actually kind of have difficulties in kind of going up to the career leader. So actually there are less women who actually become managers compared to men, obviously. And I think that's also why maybe the younger women also they don't see as much as role model, and then maybe they just feel really disappointed and discouraged more easily, right? Because they're not sure whether they belong or not. So that's why we exist. So we practically, again, as I mentioned, we're a platform for a woman empowerment by creating meaningful connection. So we try to, listen the gender gap, right? And then practically we want to enable better growth for women. So again, what we do is practically we want them to actually learn from role models who have been in their shoes, and to make them believe that they can do it as well. And then also we want to equip our mentees with an insider and applicable know-how, practically about tips and tricks, practical knowledge about what they need to do for simple things that maybe seems trivial, like how to negotiate a salary, how to negotiate a promotion, that kind of thing. And also we want to make sure there's a relatable figure to support, listen, and empower them. So this is about a community where you can come and then you can get empowered. You can also give back and empower others as well. And we do this not only by doing one-on-one mentorship. So we start by one-on-one mentorship, and we try to have wider impact. We start doing like a masterclass, like one-to-many sessions. And also lately we just released our app, and we also try to help women to get connected in a less formal way. So we create like a weekly matching where you can get like matched based on your background, like based on our algorithm. And you can get like, you can practically meet new people who also like can help you like within your personal growth or professional growth every week. And again, like I think the issue like about women empowerment, like the urgency, it's heavily felt by everyone, I think, in many industries, among industry, right? So that's why actually it's not really hard for us to find mentors, because many people actually want to give back, right? And we don't only have like female mentors, we also have male mentors, which are also like champion or like allies for like women empowerment as well. Because again, I think for us to be able to bring close the gender gap and also to bring equality in the workforce, I think it needs an effort from everyone, right? It cannot be just like an individual, like sporadic effort. So that's why we're here. And we're welcome to anyone who want to join, right? Who want to join as a mentor, who want to join as a partner. We actually have so many volunteers who actually reaching out to us through Instagram. Like we have like around 26 people like part-time right now because they just want to contribute. So yeah, I'm welcome everyone who actually want to join and want to discuss with us. How can we bring a betterment for women empowerment? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mbak Francisca. That's a very noble thing you do with the Womenworks, and that's very inspirative. But if I may ask you questions, do you think the government, especially the government, has done enough to help women to get into the tech industry? If not, what is your recommendations about this?
I think this definitely this has been like initiative, right? Trying to get like more women, but I think the initiative can be more focused. I think maybe like right now with the 1,000 startup movement, the government is definitely trying to push for like startup industry to rise, right? To have more startups, but I haven't seen that significant kind of initiative that's focusing on women specifically. But also like as Pak Sony actually mentioned, there's like different tendency between men and women, right? In a way, women is kind of like from the young age, they were kind of being taught to be like perfect, right? Not like to taking a risk. And that happened actually. I heard a story. So there was like a coding like boot camp in like a rural area in one of the city in Jabodetabek. And then like there's like a male and a female student, right? And then like when they ask about how they do, the male students say, oh, it's very easy, right? It's gampang lah, bisa gitu kan. And then like when female students say, oh, I'm not sure, like I don't know. But then like when we actually see at how they do, right, about the result, the female student actually do better than the male student. Because like, I think there's like an issue of like female, they're kind of, we're kind of like afraid to claim our achievement in a way, right? We are taught to be perfect, we're taught to be like, in a way proper, but we're not really, in the young age, usually we're not really taught to be like aggressive or like to, like claim for achievement or claim for leadership position. So yeah, I think definitely we can help, we can use help of like a more initiative of government that's specific towards women.
All right, but if you think the affirmative actions to, for example, hiring more women into digital or into technological industry, do you think such affirmative action will create more segregation between men and women?
That's a very good question. So I think I don't think that it's gonna create like that kind of segregation per se, because like currently I think in terms of like the proportion, it's very it has a very staggering number, right? The difference. So let's say like during my time in college, we are around like 100 students, and around 20% of us are female. And then like when we go to the workforce, my last position, I was like head of engineering at Amicus. We have like 90 people in engineering, and there's only around like 10 women. So it's actually getting less and less. So I think like, like for someone, and not only women, to be like flourishing in what they do, they need to feel that they belong. They need to feel like they actually have peers that will help them. So I think like we're still far from reaching that, like in the current number. So if that kind of initiative come in, I think it will definitely help. Segregation, that in a way that happens in some ways naturally, but I think like for this current situation, it's kind of like the pros is more appealing than the concept.
All right, wonderful, Mbak Francisca. Thank you very much. And I would like to remind all participants joining us today, if you want to have deliver your questions, you can type it on the chat box right now, and we will go through it later on the Q&A sessions. So the next speaker are two incredible women, Anne-Marie and Amel. I hope I don't pronounce your name wrongly. So Anne-Marie is a correspondent for the French Tech Mission in Southeast Asia. She has helped a total of 130 startups under the French Tech Mission to be developed in the region. Meanwhile, Amel is one of the board members at La French Tech Singapore, where she leads the Women in Tech and Asia French Tech chapters. In addition, Amel has extensive knowledge of the startups ecosystem, and she was a former entrepreneur herself. So considering their contribution in building a friendly tech industry for women in ASEAN, let's hear from Anne-Marie and Amel about the French tech ecosystem in Singapore and what we can learn from that.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks very much for giving us the opportunity to talk today about La French Tech, how women are key component of this community, and how you can join us. So maybe first, what is La French Tech? La French Tech refers to the French startup scene. So you may know that French ecosystem is completely booming with 10,000 startups, 14 unicorns, 300 incubators. And some of these successful scale-up are led by women. Based in the region, we are lucky to have a Vestiaire Collective, French unicorn, and AB Tasty, two success, both with a female founder. La French Tech is also the name given to the communities of French and Francophone entrepreneurs. You hear the word French in La French Tech, but really what matters is the word tech, because we're an inclusive community led by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. There are now 121 French tech communities all over the world. And communities are mainly made to facilitate introductions between startups of the community. It can provide you visibility. And the idea of the community is to be there if you have a question related to your business, about a supplier, a solution, if you want to test your MVP. The community is really a wonderful and helpful network that you can leverage. As mentioned by Leonika earlier, community is really important. So you have one with La French Tech if you want to join. In Asia, Asia is the area actually with the most French tech communities, just after Europe. In Asia, we have 15 communities. In ASEAN, the official French tech communities are Singapore, you have Malaysia, you have Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, and the Philippines. We don't have French Tech Indonesia yet, but I'm sure we will have soon. And just about women in tech in the French tech communities. So events are organized to highlight women or in partnership with pro-women associations. For example, French Tech Hong Kong organized an event with Ladies Who Tech. French Tech Shanghai organized one called Women to Promote Women. So events are organized to and for women in tech. Also, we are very, very happy to see more and more women joining the board of French tech communities. For example, French Tech Australia is led by two dynamic French women, and French Tech Singapore have reached recently parity. And talking about French Tech Singapore, I will leave the floor to Amel, leader of the Women in Tech group in Singapore.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. So I'm Amel Regnault. I have been living in Asia for the last decade. I was a former startups founder in Hong Kong, and now I'm in Singapore. I'm the founder of Digital Mind Media, a consulting boutique helping startups to accelerate their growth in Asia. So now we understand why I'm here and why the today's subject, Women in Tech, is close to my heart and my beliefs. So today I want to share with you what we achieve as a collective achievement here in Singapore, and I hope that it will inspire you and show you that small action can help and have a higher achievement. So 4 years ago, I came in Singapore, and we have started La French Tech Singapore. We were only 15 people, and now we are gathering more than 2,000 members with different chapters. In total, I believe we have 14 or 15 chapters around artificial intelligence, blockchain, cybersecurity, retail tech, and so on. And one of them is Women in Tech. So, but why? Why Women in Tech? So from the beginning, actually, we have really three main objectives. The first one was to identify more women in every technical field, because we lack of women, let's be honest. The second was to help the women so that we can push and develop their business, because sometimes we have to cope with unfair situations. And the third one is to bring not only gender diversity, but more diversity in our association and the local startups ecosystem. So what we achieve until now? So regarding the community, as Marianne said, but also Leonika and Francisca, it's really important. We have set up a solid and helpful community for female entrepreneurs. We gather some really key partners like VCs, incubators, corporate innovation lab, even startups, or some experts around this Women in Tech chapter. And with networking and workshop, we have built a safe place where we can exchange some ideas, support our business, because I'm also an entrepreneur, so I'm included in this community through the rough, and you know what I mean, the entrepreneur journey. So the second achievement is regarding communication, which I believe is really important. We highlight female talents. We celebrate their achievement through interviews, podcasts, videos, not as a woman, but as an expert in their field, which is a quite huge difference. Around events, what we do, we are not doing any woman-focused event. We are partners with other women associations like Girls in Tech in Singapore, She Loves Data also around the world, Cribe, or few in Hong Kong, FEW. But what we are doing is that we are keeping a listing of expert, women, female expert, so we can provide to each French Tech event a minimum of 30% of representativity of women in our panels. And regarding the fundings, and I believe we will talk a little bit more afterwards, La French Tech Singapore has also a business angel syndicate where we are trying to push the female funders, and we also heavily support all the initiative from other VCs here in Singapore, like Cocoon, Capital Vantage, Her Capital, which is only focused, and you have to remember this name, it's a VC focused on female funders all over Asia, but also the well-known like Cribe or Jungle. So I want to conclude with what we learn. It's that we are running our initiative as we are running startups. First, we focus on the why, so the need of our community. Second, we test and learn. So we launch really small and achievable action, and we are not afraid about failures. And second, before launching any initiative, we have to set up the objective and the KPI. I hope with this really short introduction of our chapter here in Singapore, we will inspire you, and I'm available for any question around it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amel and Marian. That's a super insightful story you shared there. Maybe Indonesia can learn from that. And I have a questions about the French startup ecosystem and tech industry might be different. And you bringing the expertise from France to Asia, what are the difficulties or the challenges you found, for example, in ASEAN, in building the women in tech communities, for example?
We, as Marianne said, La French Tech has two words, which is French and tech, but it's not only French startups that we are helping. We are seeing all in global. So for example, in Singapore, it's really inclusive. So of course, we help French entrepreneurs or French startups coming in Asia, but we're also helping all the ecosystem. And to answer to your question, the main pitfall that the foreign startups, when they are coming to Asia, is that Asia is not one country, is many countries. So the way that you accelerate your growth in Singapore is not at all the same in Indonesia, it's not at all the same in Japan, it's not at all the same in China, and so on. So you have to really understand the local ecosystem and to probably at the beginning partners with the local players, and the way of doing the business is not also the same. So I think this is the main pitfall that the foreign company have to cope with. Companies.
Yeah, right. Thank you. And another question. You mentioned about the PCs for female founder in Singapore, right? So how is the responses coming from founders, coming from investors, coming from other PCs? Do they see that as a backlash, or do they support it?
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't get the question.
About the female
yes.
female-only founder of Capital,
yes.
right? So do they receive such kind of backlash, or do they receive such kind of supports from the society there in Singapore?
Actually, when I came to Singapore, I tried to help women associations, and really I stopped counting after 30. So there are a lot of help here in Singapore towards female founders and female entrepreneurs. We are really, really lucky. But also VCs, a lot of support from VCs for mentoring, for helping the female founders to pitch better or to help them on their business plan and so on. So frankly, there is a lot of help, but at the end, for the moment, the stats are always the same. So not enough female founders. So we have to keep to push again to help to have a diversity, gender diversity.
Right.
We can definitely give you some names, some players who are willing to help female entrepreneurs, not only in Singapore, but the VCs and even the mentors here. They are trying to look to all the landscapes, all over Asia.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we still have a long road to go, and yeah, we cannot wait for more initiatives coming from French Tech, maybe in Indonesia someday. So the next speaker, having been living in Indonesia since 2013, Mr. David is highly passionate about empowering small and medium enterprises, especially those who are fighting for an impact. David has been the managing director of ANGIN.id, which used to be a single-person company he started in 2014. Now it becomes the largest investment network in Indonesia. He will share about how the tech industry has started to support women, or maybe to begin to create more friendly working environment. So, Pak David?
Yes, can you hear me well? I'm having some technical issues. Okay, perfect. Can you see my screen as well? All good?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, perfect. First of all, thanks so much for inviting us. It's always a good, a very like a honor actually to always be able to share some of the insight and the work we are doing. So quickly about us, right? For the one who don't know us, actually, so we have been around for quite some times, around 2014, actually. And ANGIN actually has evolved quite a lot since the beginning. We changed a lot of time our business model, like very similar to any startups, right? The interesting model actually is we started as an NGO. So ANGIN was initially a non-for-profit organization supported by a grant from the US Embassy. And the objective was basically to support more women entrepreneurs to receive capital. And it was in 2014. And as I think Francisca and the other speaker mentioned, the ecosystem was still very, very new at that time, no much funding available for women entrepreneurs. So the idea with the grant was let's set up a structure to help actually women entrepreneurs raise capital from the right investors. And these right investors were actually 15 women, all Indonesian, all executive in large organizations such as Bluebird, who actually decided to pull money together to invest in women entrepreneurs. And we realized that there's so much more we can do than just having the women fund. We started also to be, I would say, more agnostic and also including male into the work. So we started to also to invest in male entrepreneurs. We started to go beyond startups and looking at SME, etc. And basically at the end today, we really run in two types of business model, right? We have the investment side, where we really sit in between the investors and the entrepreneurs. So we are here as a Jimbatan, as a bridge to help investors to invest and also to help entrepreneurs to fundraise capital, because fundraising is actually quite difficult and vice versa. Investing is not actually an easy job. And because we have done so much work, with mentors, investors, startups, also we started also to see the needs for this, what we call advisory. So it's a lot of business around, event, report, workshop, training, because we also see a gap that a lot of this work has been implemented or executed by a lot of foreign organizations, based out of typically Washington, DC, Paris, or whatever, but there's a lack of locally based consulting that could help actually different organizations to better understand the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And this is where a lot of learnings I'm going to share is coming from these two sides, both as an investor, but also as a consultant for different organizations. And very quickly about some of the numbers, right? Our network has grown. We have around 130, I think, investors right now, a very diverse group of people from, celebrities, conglomerate politicians, but also VC foundations, etc. We have invested in more than 100 companies. Some of these companies are quite well known and actually mostly led by women. I think I saw in Francisca's deck, Alamanda Shantika, founder of Bina Academy, that we just helped to fundraise. Burr Greens and Green Rebel, also quite well known in the F&B market. We also held them since 2016. And we have done quite a lot of research as well that always include this gender aspect. For instance, we did study the angel investment network across Southeast Asia, and we wanted to understand how we include gender into the work we are doing. Or we study the accelerators and incubators in Indonesia, and also why not so many female participate in this program. Is it because of the lack of, let's say, sensitivity to genders? Is it the program not tailored to them, etc.? And through this work, I just wanted to share, I think, three main insights, both on the investor side, on the ecosystem, and the entrepreneur side. The first one is on the investor side. What we see is the mentality has really changed when it comes to gender. I think for quite a few years, investing in women was really sort of impact investment. You do it because women struggle to raise capital, there's a gap. So it was all about impact, right? We call it sometimes this SDG, right? Number 5, Sustainable Development Goal, it was gender equality, etc. But what we see is actually investors realize that investing in women is not only an impact, but it's actually an opportunity. Actually, when we consider gender through your investment, whatever it is to look at the leadership or the ownership of the business, when it looks at how women consumers are integrated into the business model, or how the business also impacts the ecosystem overall, then actually it unleashes a lot of opportunity, economic opportunity that actually will drive the return of some of investors. So the mentality change actually from we invest in women for impact to actually just unleashing a huge opportunity. The second insight is I think the ecosystem has really broadened in terms of support to women. Again, when I came in Jakarta, it was 2012. There were very few actually support systems to women entrepreneurs. Mostly were coming from the microfinance or the NGO side. And what we see is actually the programs, you know, the accelerators, incubators, VC investors, you name it, actually all the way to media or mentoring platform like Francisca's, etc., has really increased. And we see that this support function has really, you can see on these pictures, has basically been sort of diversified along different type of support women need, right? From leadership to basically considering as well how gender violence or domestic violence impact the, you know, the mindset of the women entrepreneurs, all the way to a lot of awards and competition actually of stake. Okay. And the last insight I wanted to share is this, right? As an entrepreneur, because we have the chance, you know, we have the chance to have worked with a lot of women entrepreneurs. We see that basically there's still a lot of gaps and a lot of support that are really needed for women entrepreneurs when it comes to fundraising. And if we have some entrepreneurs, I think in the room, they will probably really relate to some of these three issues we face, and we see that women really need support. I think we realize women really need a certain type of investors. I think relationships sometimes matter most, and value alignment. And accessing the right investors is not easy, right? I think a lot of women entrepreneurs we work with don't only care about the funding or just, you know, the money, right? They need more than that. They need basically someone who can accompany their growth, who can really understand their business. So that's one, and this is what we try to do. The second one, I think, is really about the way women entrepreneurs sometimes pitch their business versus male. We see that, you know, the way they carry the message is very different. You know, I think male have tendency to just generalizing a bit, inflating their numbers, you know, selling a bit more, let's say, optimistic projections, and women tends to be more realistic. But this is sometimes affect your way you can actually bargain for your investment, your valuation, etc. And we try also to let them know that this is actually maybe unconscious, but this is important for them to realize, right? And that's a support I think a lot of women entrepreneurs need. And the last one is, I think, negotiating, right? If you look at I think the funding landscape, who are the investors, it's mostly male dominated still, right? And a lot are coming from the West, including myself, right? Being French, even if I'm half Asian, I still think like a French. So when it comes to negotiating, you know, women entrepreneurs based in Jakarta or even based even outside, it's even worse. How do you negotiate with, let's say, VC white male, for instance? You know, it's a very different game as well. And we try to also help them to, just bargain better and negotiate their investment structure, because investing requires a lot of negotiation to be sure you get the right valuation, the right terms, etc. So I think that was mostly some of these three insights on the investor side, ecosystem, and entrepreneur side.
Thank you very much, Pak David. That's very interesting, because Pak David, as a male player, but he is also having the same concern as towards women in tech industry. But the question is, should venture capitals and investors start to support companies or startups simply because they are founded by women, or should it stick to the human-centered business model? What do you think, Pak?
To be honest, there's two ways, right? I think there's some investors who have the mandate because of their investor. They have to invest in women-led and women-owned businesses. They don't have a choice. In our case, I think it doesn't really matter, honestly. And to be very sincere, it's not because a business is led by a woman that even inside the gender parity or diversity is preserved, actually. I've seen some very terrible women entrepreneurs, sort of dictator style. So I think the analysis has to go really beyond, right? I think it makes sense to really step back and say, okay, does investing in women, I do it for the right reason because there's a gap or there's certain things I want to do, but I don't think it's actually should be just the only analysis. And at the end of the day, to be frank, it should just be, we are talking to entrepreneurs. We're not talking to a male or female entrepreneurs. So actually numbers, figures, tractions, progress do matter, right? More than just the gender.
All right. So throughout this pandemic, the disproportionately adverse impact on women's career has received a great deal of attention, including the 2020 Crunchbase report said that there is such a substantial drop in venture capital funding for women-led startups. Do you also this phenomenon happen in Indonesia?
Honestly, in the case of Indonesia, I don't think so, right? What I see is there's so much money actually being available. And to be honest, even recently, I think 2 of our entrepreneurs that I just mentioned on my slide were actually interviewed by one of the media District Asia, and they share that for them, sometimes being a female was an advantage because there's so much money dedicated for women entrepreneurs. And if you are tech entrepreneurs, sometimes coming from a minority outside Jakarta, you have a perfect story that investor wants to back. So in my case, I don't think so. I think the real gap is really about certain, business model. There's also this gap, I think Francisca mentioned, or I forgot which speaker, between being a startup and, it's not only a website. So I think the sort of the layer between being an SME, so like slow growth, stable growth, and being a startup super aggressive as this between, which has a lot of difficulties to raise capital. But for me, in case of Indonesia, so much money is available at my client base, but actually doesn't get the right recipients. So not yet actually a decrease. I think it was just a decrease in general. And actually a lot of business that were managed by women were actually answering primary needs. So a lot of this business actually really, I would say benefit, but didn't suffer that much, during the pandemic, because the business that suffered were all the sort of vitamin C type of business, but all these very essentials, primary needs, primary goods focused business were actually doing quite well and received quite a lot of funding.
All right. Thank you very much, Pak David. Now we're going to move forward to the next speaker. So the next awesome woman in here is Leah, the co-founder and co-managing director of Girls in Tech Indonesia since 2011. Girls in Tech is a platform aimed to build a diverse and inclusive tech workforce, especially for women in Indonesia. Leah herself won the 2019 Woman Marketeer of the Year at Asia YWN Award. So she will share the story of her experience and career. So Miss Leah, the time is yours now.
Thank you, Indah. Thank you, Ambassador France, for having me. And I have some familiar faces here. David is a long supporter of Girls in Tech. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it started with my story. I want to start with my story. So I'm actually a computer engineer. I started my journey as a young teenager, 13 years old, having my first laptop and curious on writing, right? At that time, I write poetry a lot. And then at one point, I want to showcase my poetry. That's how the first time I learned coding. I learned how to make a website. Yeah, and then, but when I want to study language, because I love poetry, I love writing, I love everything about it, my parents won't allow me to do that because my parents said that writing won't make me any money, right? So at that time, I finally take engineering, computer engineering, and I become a web developer. I worked for a web consultant for 2.5 years before I realized that my true love is actually language, literature, writing, books. So I created Indonesian Amazon, basically an online bookstore in 2007. And then that's the first time I start writing my first book. And then I start writing first book, second book, and then I write and publish 3 books in a year, you know, back then. And I found another problem in this country that a lot of young Indonesian young people have found difficulties in publishing their book, right? So that's how I found in 2010 nulisbuku.com, a print-on-demand platform, and then 2017 storyal.co, a social storytelling platform where writers can actually upload their writing per chapter, monetize per chapter. And by last year, we already have more than 350,000 users, and our writers already earn like hundreds of million rupiahs from our platform. So I consider myself like, okay, you know, now I can become a writer full time, right? With this kind of money. So I'm looking at it as technology can be a door to a lot of different problems, a solution to a lot of different problems. But unfortunately, back then, there's not a lot of women in technology, girls in tech. So in 2011, me and my co-founder at that time, Anan, we started like a small dinner and inviting a lot of these young women in technology to just have a chat at that time, right? And then that's the actually the first event of Girls in Tech Indonesia. So this is me and my partner, Finia. Finia is also present in this webinar. So we are now leading the Girls in Tech Indonesia. Our mission is to inspire the geek in every girl. Because for me, you know, like technology is not difficult, but then we need to be curious about it, right? So I think inside all the girls, there's a geek that, you know, waiting to be unleashed. And then we want to, how to inspire them? We inspire them to create a series of workshops. I can show you our workshop. A series of workshops like robotic workshop and data analytics workshops, digital marketing. And even on like 3 years ago, we create, I realized something that there's a lot of problems within, you know, girls in tech community, girls in technology is not, the challenges are not coming from outside, external, but then internal. It's more internal. So it's more self-confident problem, right? So that's how we created a campaign. We call it Why Not? We just want to, all girls say, you know, whenever they have opportunity in technology, they say, why not? So we create a why not be a digital pro, why not become a womenpreneur? And this campaign was supported by Facebook. We also create a Hack for Humanity event where women can be together and then finding solution. It's 3 days, and then they create a solution for gender violence problem, yeah, using technology. Last year, we created, so we adopt Indonesian culture called arisan. So if you don't know arisan is a private lottery almost, right? Basically, we hang out together, all the girls every month, and then we collect money, and then one of us can win it. And then we adopt that model, and then we add digital to it. So every single month we create digital workshops with very techy subjects like cybersecurity, big data, you know, like, but also something light like how to make a podcast or personal branding. And we had more than, last year we had more than 1,000 participants. I need to say that's thanks to COVID, because before it's probably, you know, just Jakarta, and now our events can be accessed all over Indonesia and even several countries, right? This is like our activities last year, mostly online. Yeah, we also adapt a little bit, you know, having our own merchandise, and it was fun. And recently we had a Girls in Tech scholarship, working together with Haiti Faith and Education New Zealand. We give a scholarship to 18 girls in Python and web development. And one of the girls, Laras, will speak after me, after this. We have a graduation event next next month. So please follow Girls in Tech at Girls in Tech ID on Instagram to get to know more information. So what's next for us? We plan to create more online courses, recorded online courses, so more women can learn at their own pace anytime. Thank you so much, and feel free to contact me.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Leah. So to inspire the geek in every girls, that's a very inspirative motto. But do you know, like, does being women in your professions come with extra mental challenges that you have to overcome? For example, you know, like tech industry is a male-dominated work, right? So have you ever like doubting your own ability? I'm a woman in a world full of men. Have you ever come with such mental issues like that?
Yeah, of course. I doubt myself almost every day, maybe. even when I already write 32 books at this point, and I was like, can I write? Can I teach writing? You know. So yeah, I think it's a problem that we need to solve with ourselves, you know. And I think that how do I overcome it? I overcome it through action. Like, okay, if I doubt myself in this field, okay, how about I'm doing it little by little? How about I, you know, do a little project first, you know, and then building my self-confidence along the way. Yeah.
All right. So about the GIT scholarship, right? So it seems you want more girls to be involved, to join the tech industry. Why do you think it's very important for you personally to have more women to join the tech industry?
Yeah, because we use more than 50% of the apps right now, right? So somebody needs to be there to represent us while building the apps. Otherwise, it's just totally go in the wrong direction. And we cannot use it. So it needs to be balanced.
All right. So, but how much do you think the industry has changed since you first joined?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in my university, I was one of the 20 women in the class. We are a 100 people class, which is it's a 20%. But then when I graduated, I'm one of the 20% that, so 20% from that 20% eventually get a career in technology back then. But then now I see a lot of progress. I see a lot of progress, a lot of more women, more traffic in the women section and restroom. So it's good. It's a good sign that I can see that. But then I think we need more. Yeah. I don't know about the number, but I think it's around 30%. Yeah, so we need 20 more, right, to be balanced.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Leah. So since Leah already mentioned about the GIT scholarship, now let's hear from one of the 18 girls recipient of Girls in Tech Scholarship last year, Larasati Nugroho, throughout us with a very excellence, with her excellence in the tech field in a very young age. So Ms. Larasati, let's hear your story.
Yeah, thank you, Indah. Thank you for this opportunity to invite me and meet amazing speakers from around the world talking about their startup and what have they done for the women tech. So I'm Laras. I'm an undergraduate student majoring in one of the most dominant major for men, which is mechanical engineering. I'm still studying in Sampurna University, Jakarta. I received scholarship from Girls in Tech with online course will teach me about Python programming. So the course talk about the basic of Python programming, data visualizations, and then the basic of machine learning. So before I found the Girls in Tech scholarship, I tried to finish my capstone project. So my capstone project is related to drone and face detections. We try to control the drone with the input from the face detections. So at the time, I really cannot program except MATLAB, which is the online, not online, like the most dominant programming language for mechanical engineering, but I need Python language to control the drone. So I start to learn Python independently at start, and then I think that I need a mentor, and I think it's really hard to find a mentor which would like to teach you from the basic. The one from internet is good, but you don't know if you're going to do wrong track or not. So that's why I try to find a scholarship, and I found Goshen Tech in one of the ind.beasiswa.com website, and I tried to apply for it. So I still really like a big opportunity for me because the deadline is only a day. I applied for the scholarship a day before the deadline, and then I'm not quite sure if I could be accepted to the scholarship, but I trust myself and write an essay for it. So before I accepted to the scholarship, we need to pass the test and the essay requirements. So I think one of the criteria that make me accepted with the scholarship is the essay. So I said on the essay that I aware that the Indonesia lag behind in the tech for women, and I think a Python language as the one of the most popular language and the easiest one that he said to learn about it because it's related to machine learning. I think I need to learn about it, and one of the things that I could done after I learned it is I could apply it to my capstone project and then to share it with others to teach the other women. So that's one of the reasons I said on my essay. And then after I finished the scholarship, I learned many things. I learned how to predict the price of the apartments using the basic of linear regressions in machine learning. And then I learned about classifications. And then because my capstone related to computer visions, I learned the basic of the computer visions using that language. That's one of the good thing, I think. And then during the study with the other pairs, I found that I'm not alone because we are from the groups with different area, and then we come together to study that language. Like we really have different objectives, but we know that this language could help us to reach our goal. So one of my peers, they study about nutrition for the children, and then he created a project that shows how the lack of nutrition impact the something like that. So that's one of the things. And then I also found that it's okay to not aware at first. So like right now the internet already like there's more like content pollutions, too many content, right? And then you try to find which one is correct or not, and sometimes you find it hard to find which one is correct. And then I think that's one of the things why mentorship is important, and this program is really help us to understand what is going on. Is am I on the right track or not? And of course, for the long-term goals, I could be find these people like right now. I do like a year ago. I didn't understand the language, and I don't know who you are, and I just don't know is there's women startups, and then like there's organizations that support us like that. So if we be introduced with that program, we could meet new people that has the same interests like me, and then in the long term, we could like make a partnership, make a friendship, and learn to each other. I think that's all.
Thank you very much for your story, Larasati, and congratulations for getting the scholarship again. You realize that there is this problem, lack number of women in technology, and you mentioned about how difficult it was to find mentors. So, what do you think? That's the biggest case. That's the biggest hurdles of women in technology, finding mentors, or is there any other cases?
I think one of the hardest thing is how you get into the circle, because I'm also from the socioeconomic background family. At first we cannot understand the English, and then we can understand what is tech and how it could help us actually. And then we don't know how we approach it, and then right now, social media already give big influence to how, the Goshen tab and Instagram shared good content about women and how they could themselves learn about language. Yes, I think to get into the circle is one of the most challenging for us young generation.
Okay, all right. So, do you personally think that in order to be a very successful woman in tech, you need to act like a man?
Oh, first of all, I'm not an expert this yet. And then to act like a man, I don't think, because we are a woman, we should hold our feminism, appreciate our feminism, because that's what makes us different from the man itself. And to become gender equality, as I know we should have the same rights, but at the same time we cannot copy the other gender and try to become completely like them. We just need to change some of the parameter and to compete with them. I think one of the things.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your honest answer, and that's very, very great that you are young girls and you have a lot of achievements in front of you, and I'm sure you will be the next, the best Indonesian female players in the tech industry.
Thank you.
So the last speaker, last but not least, Ms. Irsalina Suprapto, is the quality assurance engineer of Paper.id, a company that provides a software as service. She has more than 8 years of experience as a software QA engineer in the domain of fintech, travel industry, and telecommunication operator, where she also developed hands-on experience both in manual and automation testing of various applications. I read it from her LinkedIn, actually. so Ms. Irsalina, please, the platform is yours now.
Okay. So thanks a lot for the opportunity that have been given to me. So actually, in this occasion, I would like to share with you based on my experience and observations, as a woman in tech, the difficulties, what are the difficulties that I observed as a woman in tech, and what could be done actually to support and attract more women in tech, and what could, how the different cultures like in France and in Indonesia could contribute in helping the progress of the much higher number of women in technology. So before sharing my point of view, I'd like to introduce myself a little bit with you so that it's easier to understand where my point of view and opinions coming from. So I first did my bachelor degree in Indonesia, taking a telecommunication engineering in Bandung. After I graduated in 2009, I decided to pursue my master degree in France, and I landed in a city in Brittany called Brest. So mainly because in France, you have a very nice culture, nice language. Also the technology is very progressing very well. So after I graduated my master degree in 2011, I had the opportunity to, as my very first professional experience in Capgemini as an IT consultant in another city in Caen, in France. So I work there, working for a client project in the sector of telecommunication for around 3 years and 3 months. And after that, I got another opportunity to move to another part of France, in south of France, much better weather and lots of beaches. So it was a really nice living experience also. So here in Aztec, also an IT consultant company, and I've worked in a region called Sophia Antipolis. So Sophia Antipolis is actually a technology park in France, which is also known as the French Silicon Valley. So there are lots of tech company also concentrated there in Sophia Antipolis. And during this time, I work as a software quality engineer in a travel software. So I stayed there for a good 3 years and 3 months also. And the last 2 years and a half, my stay in France, I moved to Paris. So this time I work for another sector, so finance technology sector, called Kiriba. So also as a software QA engineer. And after 2 years and a half working here, and for a total like 11 years staying in France, I decided finally last December of 2020 to go back home, considering that the ecosystem of tech startup company in Indonesia is very growing. So I joined Paper.id, a growing startup also in fintech sector last December, so already 6 months. And I'm currently learning much more in my technical expertise, because in a startup, you kind of don't wait for the fixed job description. You kind of have to see the problems around and then initiate to find a solution and work with other teams. So that's things that I haven't really experienced in my previous companies in France. So first of all, what I wanted to share with you, like based on my observation, the difficulties as the woman in tech is, unfortunately, the gender bias and stereotypes are still exist in the professional setting. Either it is intentional or unintentionally, and whether it is to specify certain preference during hiring, or even the opportunity to grow once we get our foot in the company. And this actually, I feel, make women a little bit insecure, less confident, and maybe difficult to fit in. And this gender bias actually, along with other things like personal bias, maybe leads to another thing, which is lack of diversity within the team. And then we often heard a lot that the number of women in tech sector dips down from entry level, moving up the career ladder to managerial and executive position. So based on my observation throughout my professional career, I saw a lot of truths in this. Honestly, during my university time, there are quite lots of women actually taking courses in technology and science. And then once I got into the professional setting, the number gets lesser. And once we move up into the ladder, like in the managerial and executive position, we see lesser number of the women. So I think this also contributes to the lack of female role model, that maybe women, we actually need to be more confident staying in the sector. So the other thing is like maybe the ambition gap that I see, the difference between the men and women. So a lot of my women colleagues actually get a lot of motivations and high motivations to learn and to in the sector. But once along the way, sometimes it gets their ambition gets lesser and lesser, maybe because like the priority shift, maybe once they get married, have family, or also because there are really not clear clear way and documented, really official documented, and how we could progress throughout the career actually. So seeing that women actually have the motivation to stay and grow in technology sector, I think it's really important that women also get support from their surrounding environment, not only from the co-workers itself, but also the company and also from the other institutions or authority. One of the most casual thing that I often experience is the lack of inclusivity during either it is during official events or social events. Maybe it's unintentional, but for small examples, like if we are during lunch, coffee break, or even during a team building activity, maybe because it's a male-dominated sector, like the activities tend towards the male, like maybe like talking about football or online games during 2 hours lunch break. So it might little things, or it might not unintentional, but it also made women difficult to integrate with this society. So I think it's really important to be to empathize more in this, and then also to improve the diversity within the team, and also throughout our growing ups, maybe family sectors, family support also important to expose the daughters not only to a certain types of fields, but also to male-dominated fields also. And in the professional setting, I think companies should really take issue if there is a case of any segregation and imbalance. The thing that Larasati has explained previously also, the equal opportunity of mentorship is also really important. And then the last but not least, when as a human capital or a human resource during the hiring process, have a really criteria, official criteria based on competencies and skill evaluation. So that's what my personal opinion on these matters. And last thing that I wanted to share with you, so I only work in Indonesia for 6 months, but I already experienced some of a reverse culture shock, you might say. So, and I want to highlight certain points which is good in French culture that might be better if we also grew it in Indonesian culture also. In French, for example, the diversity, even if it's not the equal number of men or women, but even during my own study in the university, there are lots of people coming from different countries all over the world. So we've already got a given set of different point of view when we work together or even we study together. So in Indonesia, we are working with mostly in Indonesians, for example, in most of companies. So maybe it's better to put diversity more consciously, whether it is getting people from different parts of Indonesia or different kinds of university background, and not take all team members from a certain university. Maybe this kind of things might help progression of women in tech in Indonesia. And also, yeah, the thing that I missed in France, French people, it's they're very encouraging, open debates, open communication, everybody criticize things so well. So this is what I think in Indonesia. I think people really need to be pushed to get their opinion and to be brave and not to be afraid of judgment. So I think this is the second point which I observe in French culture that might be help to be improved in Indonesia. So
okay,
that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Irsalina. As you pointed out about the ambition gap, that's a very interesting for me. About how women in the end have to choose about the priority in their life, priority shift. They have to be mother and wife, these traditional gender roles. Do you think that women, if they want to go to the tech industry, they have to abandon this kind of traditional gender roles, or what do you think we should do?
I think I don't really think that women should abandon this once they have their priorities shift, but I think what should be done is like put more effort in the company itself to bridge like the when the woman got back from like maternity leaves, on when we've got when we take our gap year or like for any kind of reason, to bridge this how to say re-onboarding the woman and make the environment like very healthy in the company, like of course like by updating very detailed about what she has been missing, and creating a positive environment from the company and the team itself. So I think there are not really abandoned, but I think we could improve it in the company sector itself.
All right, thank you very much, Mbak Irsalina. Due to the time constraint, we're going to straight directly to the Q&A sessions, and we got several questions submitted by participants through the Google form. So I would like to read one of them. The first one is about how optimistic the speakers in this webinar about women in tech shaping the future of Indonesia in the long term. Maybe I can ask the questions first to Pak Sony, if Pak Sony is still here. Pak Sony, are you still here with us? I guess Pak Sony is not.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Pak Sony. So how optimistic do you see women in tech in Indonesia? Do you see any progress? Do you see any future for women in tech in Indonesia, Pak?
Why? Okay. The future in women in tech is very bright, I think, because after the infrastructure built by the government and also all the talent development programs, such as you guys doing it with Girl in Tech and then ANGIN, all the program that facilitate all these women entrepreneur. I think we need more collaborate, because I see a lot of program that running itself without talking to each other, and then probably the program itself should be more go to rural, lebih ke daerah-daerah. Jadi karena contoh mungkin ketika internet connect di Papua, itu kan potensinya langsung kebuka. Ketika 4G ada di Papua, kita tahun ini, this year we are build 8.000 BTS di seluruh Indonesia. 4G BTS itu akan membuka kesempatan yang lebih luas lagi untuk menggunakan teknologi. Tapi selama ini kita jangan terlalu fokus ke Jawa, tapi lebih ke daerah yang baru kenal dengan internet. Makanya fokus utama di Kominfo adalah literasi digital. Hari ini kita launching Gerakan Nasional Literasi Digital. Bagaimana ketika kita megang gadget atau teknologi kan harus ada yang mengantarkan, mengajarkan bagaimana menggunakan, entah itu sebagai pengguna ataupun pemanfaatannya untuk ekonomi. I think in digital economy we have to involve dan take benefit semaksimal mungkin, tapi make sure the benefit is stay in Indonesia, bukan benefitnya dibawa ke luar negeri, tapi the benefit is stay in Indonesia dan make an impact for Indonesian people.
Okay, all right.
That's my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Sony. Now I will go to Pak David, if Pak David is still here. What do you think about women in tech, the future of women in tech industry in Indonesia?
I mean, in general, I'm quite optimistic, because I see so many leaders and very impressive people like today, when I see the work of, Francisca, Leonika, etc., is quite impressive, right? So I think it will grow, and I think similar. I think when I see also, because we do work regionally, in other countries, I think other countries also really see some of these Indonesian, women in tech really as a role model. So I think it's really, starting to grow, and I think with all the support function, everybody getting smarter, connecting better. Yeah, I'm quite optimistic. The only thing I think we just need to pay attention is sometimes what we call, pink washing in a way. That we really reflect of what it means to support women entrepreneurs. It doesn't mean that being a woman, you're actually necessarily a good entrepreneurs. You necessarily deserve more support. So really analyzing the work, so we don't just put money there without thinking too much. I think, but that's usually just a reflection point.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak David. Now, at the second questions, I think that this question should be answered by all the wonderful women entrepreneurs and women players in tech industry in this webinar. So the question is about how to face the situation when the men underestimate women in the field of technology, like how to deal with, how to overcome barriers imposed by institutional sexisms, especially in the tech industry. I think I would like to start it with Leonika. Miss Leonika.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think today has a very amazing speakers, and for a role model and examples for every woman who wants to be an entrepreneur or working in tech companies. And I see that the collaboration between the French government and the Indonesian government will bring forward to more innovation, especially from the female or women in Indonesia.
All right, thank you very much, Mbak Leonika. And then maybe Francisca would like to add some comments.
Yeah, definitely. So I think what a woman should do, right? Like on the field, when they're like in a way like dominated by men. So I would say like first you need to be courageous and start trying. Like take the first step. Because you miss 100% shot that you don't take, right? By doing nothing, it's actually bear more risk. So actually, you need to be courageous. Try to find the courage in you, because if you believe in yourself, nobody else can say, other things. And the second one that would be helpful is to find a peer, to find an ally. It will be like easier, definitely easier, and would be like you will feel stronger as well if you have someone who supports you. It's whether it's like a peer or like a mentor, sponsor, and it doesn't have to be other women. It also can be men, right? Because usually when someone is alone, it's much easier to be like discouraged. So you need to find that support system for you, right? And then don't hesitate just to reach out to the men as well, right? When it's dominated by men, people are usually willing to help, right? And especially to women who is like minority in a way, people usually willing to help each other in order to achieve like greater things. So don't be feel that you cannot reach out to the men as well. So make sure that you can also influence them to also help you.
All right. Thank you. That's very powerful comment, Mbak Francisca. Okay, so we have questions from Joanna Apelia from Kumparan, and I think I would like to address this question to Marian and Amel, because you are starting the community in Singapore, right? So the question is, what were you guys going to do to reach young girls in rural areas, to support them, to encourage them to join the tech industry?
You mean for the young? So
yeah, the young.
One of the initiatives that we held 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, it's with some schools. So we held some panels, gender diversity, not only women, around the tech. So we are not focusing on the woman, but we are focusing on the capabilities. And within the panel, half of them were women. So regarding tech, but also and the STEM in general. And the second panel was around the entrepreneurship and how to help those new students to be willing to be entrepreneurs. So this is was the last month, and by I think in 2020, we had a special initiative only focused regarding women or young girls, actually. And we try to find some mentors, women mentors in STEM, so in big corporates, but also in startups. And they had 2 hours workshop discussing with those young ladies. So it was one shot with I think it was like not the secondary school. So it's, I don't know your educational system, but it's just before the big exam. And so when they have to choose their next step or the next university, they also have to embrace the tech sector also, or the tech studies. So this is the two initiatives that we recently set up with Women in Tech chapters, but not only, also with La French Tech, because we try to have always a balance and not to focus only towards girls or women.
Okay, all right, thank you, Amel. Marianne, is there anything you need to add or something?
We often speak at schools, Singaporean schools, to just explain what we do and how it's easy to join us. So I think it's the best way to to embark young people to the professions, tech professions.
Okay, thank you, Marianne. And I think this question is also applicable to Leah as the co-founder of Girls in Tech Indonesia, right? So Leah, how do you think we should what did you do to reach girls, to reach women, to reach everyone who's not represented enough in tech industry, especially living in rural area?
Yeah, so I live in Bali at the moment since the pandemic. And as we know, the tourism industry is quite dead. And right now, the people who used to, women who used to work in a hotel as a receptionist and everything, they have a very great English, decent computer skills, but they're out of work, right? So right now, what I'm trying to do with also Girls in Tech, we try to create a curriculum that help them to reskill. So these receptionist girls can become a virtual assistants, can become a social media manager, writers, all the new professions that is really needed in the digital world at the moment, right? So yeah, I think that's what we do right now, creating online courses, mentoring, and really highlighting their stories. I'm writing stories myself on my Instagram, for example, to highlight all these women, all these people who already successfully reskilled with technology and stuff. So the power of story, I think it's good to more, to spread more of this initiative. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Leah. And the last question is, I think it's applicable for Larasati and also for Mbak Irsalina. You mentioned about how hard it is to go into the circle of this tech industry. So what has been done, for the tech industry? Do you think what has changed from the tech industry for them to be like more friendly towards women? I think we can start from Larasati first.
All right. I think this webinar already like a living proof what could our government or the entrepreneurs and the company could done to improve the awareness that women could also collaborate and make an improvement in the technology. So, like for example, the scholarship from the Girls in Tech, and then I also see yesterday that the French Institute offer a scholarship to the France for women, for research for women. I think women themselves should like try to reach out. Like there's so much opportunity right now. I already mentioned that I found Girls in Tech from a website, and I see the Instagram. Like that's how easy we are to get this opportunity. And if you cannot, still just find a YouTube open, like how to learn something, and then it is you cannot just jump to the industry and before you know nothing. Like you need to take a small step, one step again, and that it's become a snowball, and you able to compete with others, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, Mbak Irsalina, would you like to add some comments?
Yes, I will just add some comments from the company setting point of view. So actually I saw it's already been done like by my current company. Like they are trying to provide more like you can say like maybe like a free webinars just to give awareness to anybody who wants to know about their activity. Maybe it's not that very, very technical like Larasati got like Python programming, but I think it's high level but interesting enough to let people aware of what could we do actually in the tech sector, like apart from programming and this tech skill. So I think it's quite a big bridge that can let more women to get into this circle. And the second is like just what the others has been mentioned, like lots of unofficial events like through meetups has been in lots of initiation has been done that it can give anybody like either it is specific to women or anybody could join actually to learn more about anything in the tech.
All right, thank you, Mbak Irsalina. I believe that's the end of the Q&A session because due to time constraint, we have to end this webinar. But before we close this webinar, we will now see a short presentation of the Women in Tech Scholarship or Internship Program. So, Ms. Philomen Robin, please.
Terima kasih, Trin. Thank you so much to all of you for sharing your thoughts. Let me try to move a bit. This is highly sophisticated. Okay. Well, that's a lot of information for today. Honestly, I learned a lot, and I think we all need time to process so much information. But anyway, thank you for your participation, and I'm deeply, deeply impressed by all what you did, what you're doing, still doing, and what you're going to do. I'm sure that all of you do make a change, and that's first of all, I really think we should all be grateful for this. And I also think fighting for gender equality in the tech industry, it's definitely where the leverage is, since tech industry is more or less going to shape our future. That's quite efficient. And we'd be more than happy to keep working with all of you. We'll keep in touch. We are committed to develop the relationship between France and Indonesia in the tech industry as well. So please, if any one of you has got some feedback, a project, someone he or she wants to support, be in touch. And keeping all of this in mind, we're quite happy to partner up with ANGIN. ANGIN is looking for an intern. Well, we want it to be a young woman, of course. She would be an investment analyst, but maybe David can let you know a little bit more about it. And the competition will start next Monday. We'll post more information on our social networks, which is at IFI_Indonesia on Instagram. So please stay tuned. And again, thank you very much to all of you. David, if you want to add a few words, since ANGIN will have the last word on this.
Yeah. I mean, we always host a lot of students, I think, over the summer, and I think it's always a good opportunity, especially for French students to be exposed, I think, so it's a bit dark, I realized, I think just Indonesia, right? So much opportunity in this market, so many smart people. So we we are grateful as well to be able to partner and to actually host someone who will get very high exposure, you know, to a local team, to all these great startups, you know, unicorn, this Go, Toko, etc. So we are looking for someone who is quite excited about, you know, pursuing a career in finance, and especially for women. You know, it's not always easy to work in a VC, venture capital, or research investment. It's really a great opportunity. And yeah, so we will be opening up some applications next week, right? And yeah, looking forward. And I'm also based in Bali right now, Leah. So the internship could also be based either in Bali or Jakarta. We have office in the two places.
Well, I think I will apply. So you're a bit dark and I'm too bright.
It's not too bad to work in startup investment in Bali. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So for those who wants to know more about the internship program, you should visit the EV social media on Instagram and other social media. I believe there also, and some information will be posted there. So thank you very much to all speakers and participants for the fruitful discussions we had today. I apologize if we might fail to deliver all of your questions, and to the panelists given the limited time we had. And lastly, I'd like to invite all the speakers to take a picture, last picture. So please turn on your camera and smile to them. Okay, so I will capture it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you very much again. Thank you very much to all speakers, to all participants. So stay healthy, stay happy, and I guess I'll see you around next time. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Trin.
Bye, everyone.